Hey everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, May 13th. I'm so excited about this week. It's been such a good week on so many levels. So many storylines are exploding all at once, and there's so much to talk about, and I have to start with my favorite thing that's going on Y&R right now. Let me tell you, for at least the last 6 months to a year, Adam has been my favorite character on the show. And this week, I decided that he has been bumped out. Adam has been dethroned. Adam can just go play kissy face with Sky number 2 all he wants because Ricky is my main man. He exudes evil, demented, just messed upness that I feel so compelled toward in the world of Y&R only. But for viewing purposes, he's a character that has just knocked me down. He's knocked my socks off, blown me away, just everything. He's everything right now. I love him. This week, Ricky set up this elaborate help me daddy scenario with Paul just to get info on Phyllis. He has it in for Phyllis, and he's combining his hatred for Phyllis with his gift for writing and research and journalism. And he wants to write this tell-all book about Phyllis, which I love, and he wants to use Paul to get extra info. Paul was around back in the day when Phyllis was no saint, but long before Phyllis turned into this pampered, beautiful goddess, she was the redheaded stepchild of Y&R. She was wacky. She was off the wall. I didn't necessarily even like Phyllis back then. It wasn't until she came back, they gave her a makeover, that I started liking her. Back then, she was just she was just one of those characters that was just getting in the way of what we really wanted, which was Danny and Christine to get back together, or Paul. Yeah, no, well, really, or Christine and Paul, whatever. Phyllis was stepping all over everyone's toes. And now Ricky is coming to dig up all that dirt, and there's so much dirt. Phyllis has done so much bad stuff, and Paul was around to witness it all. Ricky knows this, so he sets up this elaborate scenario complete with fake birthday card from his mother, Isabella. He writes out this fake birthday card with writing that you almost can't even read, and it sounds illegible. Whatever she's saying, you can't really put together the pieces. Come to find out later that he wrote it himself to lure Paul into his trap. It was Ricky's birthday, otherwise I don't think that Paul ever would have given him even a little bit of leeway, but he did, and they start just talking about the past a little bit, and Ricky starts to lay this groundwork with Paul that he realizes that he's messed up. Ricky realizes that he's a little sick and that maybe he should get some professional help. Paul even offers to hook him up with some people, some psychiatrists that he's known through Patty. All the while, Ricky is just baiting him to try to work his way in to get dirt about Phyllis. He says, you know, everything was going fine, and then I lost my job with Phyllis. Hey, I should have checked with you before I even started working with her. You know the dirt on her, right, Pop? It was brilliance. It was absolute sheer brilliance. And Paul was falling for it at first. And as the conversation started turning, as it became clear what Ricky was really after, Paul called him out. He said, Ricky, did you call me here just to talk about Phyllis? Is this all a pretense just to get info on Phyllis? Could it be? And Ricky's response, it was just angel and an angelic, devilish way. He says, what would give you that idea? Damn, I I love this character. He is so compelling to me. And finally this week, we started to get a little bit more background. Little by little, we're peeling away the layers of Ricky as after Paul finishes this very disappointing run-in with his son, he goes to visit Avery to ask her what she knows about him, which I've been really curious about. Avery's the one that brought Ricky into town in the first place. He was working on Sharon's case, and so Avery had a little bit more insight into who Ricky was, and she revealed to Paul that among other, like, actually positive and really good qualities that Ricky has, she finds him to be amoral. And she thinks that some of this might have something to do with the fact that he had this really bad incident happen to him right after college or right around college. So, Ricky was dating this girl, and nobody knows, like, they broke up. Next thing you know, she commits suicide. And it's everywhere. Tragedy, Avery calls it. And Paul is, of course, thinking, oh my gosh, maybe this is some kind of insight into who my son is. Maybe this is the moment that changed him. He finally found someone to love, and it didn't work out, and she ended up killing herself. Maybe that's what is driving him. But I think... I tell you, this character is so twisted. It would not even surprise me to learn that Ricky killed the girlfriend and covered it up, making it look like a suicide. That's where I hope it's going. I don't know why, but I do. It's so dark, but I want this character to be dark. You know, I can't help but compare it to Adam, because Adam was this character who was the darkest of the dark on the show. He was the town pariah, and he's turned a little soft. And now we've got Ricky, who it doesn't seem like he's showing any signs of softening. He's just getting creepier and creepier, and I like it. There's just something about it that I like. And also, comparing it to Adam, Adam's situation feels like it was a little different because he came into town, I think, with good intentions, and his experience with the Newman family, seeing how it really works, seeing how his father really works, seeing how the dynamic really works, is what turned him away. It made him want revenge against the family, and that's when all of the bad things started happening. Adam had a very, to us, obvious cause. It was clear why he was doing what he was doing. Ricky just feels bad without a cause. Yes, he has a really screwed up childhood. His mother's messed up. His father wasn't really there for him. He was raised by his grandparents. But I think what's also particularly appealing about him is that his dementia almost seems like it might be genetic. He just might be naturally whacked in the head. And I like that. I find that, like, he's just bad without a cause. And it makes me think, well, who knows what he's gonna do next? I think he sets his sight onto things, gets obsessive about them, and that's more the root of why he's doing what he's doing. So it's like Adam, but different and better. It's so very good, and I can't wait to hear more about this girl. Avery looked up the girlfriend who committed suicide on Faceplace, and she found that the fan page or whatever, her profile page, is being updated and maintained by this person who was her best friend. And so Paul decided, hey, maybe I should go interview that best friend and see what kind of information I can get. So Paul is investigating Ricky in return. It's not just Ricky who's doing the digging now. I'm really interested in this, and I think that it would be kind of cool if we saw a picture of the girlfriend and maybe she looked like Eden or something, because Eden is in trouble with Ricky. And Ricky's had kind of a bad week, actually. He's starting to get the tables turned on him. He went to the bar, met with Eden, and started mouthing off, started saying things about Phyllis and how he would like to get back at her. And he had this look in his eye that was just so evil. It was pure evil. It was pure creepiness. It was straight out of like a Craigslist killer kind of thing that Eden immediately took one look at this and said, I want you out of my apartment. I don't want a room with you anymore. I'm getting a bad vibe. And Ricky was not happy about this. His reaction was so obsessive. If you've ever had, I've had creepy boyfriends before. I've had boyfriends that have scared the out of me. Oops, I didn't mean to say that. I'll bleep it. But they did. There was just scary, scary, scary. And I think Eden got that vibe out of Ricky, totally decided to kick him out, and almost this made the situation worse for her. She didn't give him any notice to get out of the apartment. She just said, I want you gone tonight. And Ricky approached her, came in kind of close to her, and there was just this moment where I felt that he could harm her, that she just made the situation even worse for herself. She detected that it was bad, wanted to get out, but the way she handled it, I think, made things even worse for her. So I'm concerned because Phyllis can handle herself. Eden, I don't know so much about. I'm not as worried about Phyllis being able to handle Ricky. She seems like she's got a lot going on now, but I think she's handled people way worse, probably chewed them up and spit them out. I think Phyllis and Ricky might actually be very well matched as far as the rivalries go. So I think it's going to be really good. I'm really looking forward to all of this. I'm looking forward to what Paul's going to dig up on Ricky. I'm looking forward to the flashbacks that we're going to see of Phyllis. And it also lays the groundwork for Danny's return. I think that Danny's going to play into this storyline very well. It's just good. It's appealing. It's mixing a new character with old memories and old storyline, which is exactly what I love about Y&R. I love when they bring history back into the show but give it a different spin, and I'm compelled by this new character. I can't wait for this. Daniel has been disappeared off the scene for at least the last week or two, and he shows up this week out of the blue at Daisy's door asking her to marry him. Now, my first reaction was, is this a dream? Is this one of those things where it happens and then we flash back to the alternate reality? That didn't really happen, but as the story unfolded more, no, it was in fact not a dream. Daniel shows up at Daisy's door, asks her to marry him, says that he wants to have a real marriage with her and a real family with her. She doesn't believe him, of course. At first, she's angry. She's saying, don't do this to me, just get out. If you can't be honest with me, just get out. I don't want to deal with this. And as Daniel continued to persuade her, she started to warm up to the idea. Well, mostly because his way of persuading her was to grab her and kiss her on his way out the door, which I feel that first kiss was the most awkward and most passionless kiss that I've seen in a while. There was just an awkwardness about it, and I'm glad Y&R I'm glad that's how it got shown, because it is awkward between them. There's no passion whatsoever. And Daniel, in order to really seal the deal and hit his brilliant idea of marrying Daisy, he wants to hit that home, he decides to sleep with her. They kiss once and then go back into the apartment and do it on her futon. And with a little bit of work, I'm all for Daniel and Daisy hooking up. I know some people don't like her. I just think the actress is unique looking. I like the way she looks. I think her voice is kind of unique. And I think that I guess I like evil characters, apparently. I think that she's conniving in the right way. She's able to flip that switch between sour and sweet, and that appeals to me. So I'm fine with them hooking up, but marriage? Really? Could Daniel really have thought this through? It doesn't even really seem as if it's part of some big, grand, larger plan for him. If he was trying to trick her into something, he could have gotten her drunk and then taken photos of her drunk around the apartment, or who knows, there's any number of things that he could have done. Instead, he almost seems genuine. He feels this is the only way he can protect his daughter is by marrying Daisy and keeping an eye on her. But yeah, geez, he didn't necessarily have to sleep with her right away. And since he did, I just really hope he used a condom this time. I hope there was a condom involved this time, because that's the last thing he wants, is getting her pregnant again. Oh my goodness. And in some small way, I almost feel sorry for Daisy, because now he slept with her, and she even said later that that was the best sex of my life. Daniel must really know how to give it. I bet he does too. He did it exactly the right way for her, and now she's just starstruck, and she is so being fooled, so being played. I think that Daniel's just her one weakness, and maybe it's time. Maybe she's getting her comeuppance, but she's also getting what she wants, because as soon as word started to spread through Genoa City that this was Daniel's plan, he decided, I'm not going to let anybody stop me from doing this. I just want to elope. Let's just get it done. So within the matter of like 2 shows, Daniel and Daisy were married. They went to the Justice of the Peace. They had a quickie elopement, and now they're married. It's very shocking. It was very out of nowhere. And Daisy, looking like a fool, standing there in front of the Justice of the Peace as she pronounced, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Instead of Daniel going in to kiss her, his first reaction was to lean over and grab Lucy out of Kevin's arms, who was there as the witness. So, and Daisy had this look on her face like, oh, he doesn't really love me. Well, no kidding, he doesn't really love you. How could she possibly think that this is real? Even after she told Ricky that she was going to be marrying Daniel, he literally was trying to shake some sense into her. You gotta be kidding me. He's pulling one over on you. You can't possibly think this is real. And she just did. She just has this real weakness for him, is all I can say. So they go back to Daisy's apartment after being married, and they have their wedding night, which consisted of champagne at her insistence. And Daniel decides, you know what, I'm just gonna get her drunk. That might be the only way to get her off of me, because every time she tries to paw at him, he wriggles out of it. Every time she tries to kiss him, he finds a way around it. And so he just lets her drink herself silly. And I feel like that was probably one of the funnier parts of the entire week. Drunk Daisy is awesome. It's just, she was very, very funny. Daniel doesn't see it that way though. Daniel sees her as an albatross around his neck. He forces her to have more champagne than she needs. She passes out on the couch. He cares about her. She's the mother of his child, so he covers her up and makes sure she's comfortable on the couch. But then he grabs the keys and leaves. He sneaks out, goes to Jimmy's, where Eden is sitting there, and they have this little tete-a-tete, and decide to head into a back booth and start making out. Oh, Daniel. I think being married is really going to put a damper on his getting laid all around town, because I completely think that Daniel is a playboy. He likes the ladies. He's not overt and obvious like Kyle. He's just more like smooth. He definitely gets his way. And this is gonna be a major problem for him, because Phyllis is not going to let this marriage happen. She couldn't stop it from happening, but she's certainly going to do everything she can to end it. So she shows up at Daisy's apartment. Daisy's still drunk. Phyllis is banging on the door like a mad woman. It's nighttime. There's a child inside. How rude, banging on the door so hard. Daisy goes to open the door, clearly drunk. Phyllis sees this right away, and they start to argue. Phyllis is like, "Where's Daniel? I'm gonna stop him from this." And Daisy doesn't know that Daniel snuck out on her, and Phyllis realizes it too. So I love the rivalry that's happening between Daisy and Phyllis too. Just the fact that Daisy broke the news that she and Daniel got married, and she's all drunk and happy, and she says, "You're my mother-in-law," which made Phyllis cringe. I think Phyllis died inside a little bit during that moment, which I found very entertaining. But the two women decide that they gotta go out and find Daniel. So they load Lucy into the car, go looking for Daniel, where they find him at Jimmy's, smooching in a back booth with Eden. Phyllis is pissed. Daisy is destroyed. She says, "You lied to me." I think this might have even been in the preview. I can't remember, but she's like, "I thought you lied to me, you tricked me, you played me. Duh." But it's not a good scene for Daniel. This is, in a matter of what, 12 hours, all blown up in his face. I feel a little bit sorry for Phyllis in this scenario. She's got enough going on. She's gonna have to contend with Ricky, and now she's dealing with this decision by Daniel. Phyllis probably just needs to let go a little bit. She's trying so hard to hang on to things and to keep things the way that she wants them, and it's not working. You can't control your grown son. If this is his decision, as much as you don't like it, you kind of got to let it happen. I mean, you can talk to him, you can take the soft approach, which Phyllis doesn't even have that term in her vocabulary. She wants to force his hand, and it never ends up working. She couldn't force his hand in trying to take responsibility for Lucy in the first place, so what makes her think she's going to do it now? And I'm just worried that all of this stress is going to cause her to lose the baby or something. I don't want that to happen. She had a little bit of a scare this past week. She was spotting, so she and Nick went to the hospital, and she was very concerned that she either wasn't really pregnant or that something had happened to the baby. And I think that moment in the hospital helped Nick and Phyllis realize how much they actually did want the child. It was a surprise that she became pregnant, but I think in the face of possibly losing the child, it made them realize how much they really do want it. So it was a very cute little moment when the doctor came in and affirmed that she is pregnant, and he ordered a ultrasound so that she could see the baby, which is the size of a blueberry. Oh, it's very cute. As soon as the doctor left, they were like, "It's a blueberry." Which was just very, very adorable. I want things to work out for them. If this is what they want, I want them to be I want their marriage to work. I want their child to be healthy and safe. That's what I'm pulling for. The only thing that really pissed me off about Phyllis this week was that, well, I guess, yeah. Well, anyway, she goes back to her apartment after they've had confirmation that the baby's fine. And she calls Avery and has Avery come over. And now, in every other scenario, Phyllis doesn't want to have anything to do with Avery. She pretty much told her she thinks she's as bad as the father. She doesn't want to have a relationship with her. No matter how hard Avery tries, Phyllis doesn't open up to her at all. Then Phyllis calls Avery over to her apartment to show her the ring that her and Nick are engaged, and to tell her that she's pregnant. I personally think that had nothing to do with wanting to share the news with her sister, and everything to do with rubbing it in. Phyllis still feels that Avery came into town with the intention of trying to ruin her life with Nick, so Phyllis took this opportunity to just rub it in and let Avery know that she ended up accomplishing exactly the opposite. Now, I don't know if that was Avery's intention when she came into town. She seems to contend that she didn't plan the Nick thing, that maybe she wanted to stick it to Phyllis a little bit, but she wasn't planning on stealing Nick. That wasn't her original intention. But she did make mistakes. Avery did overstep, I think. But at the end of the day, Avery's trying to make up for her mistakes, and Phyllis just doesn't see that. I totally appreciated how Avery helped Lauren out this week. Avery brought it to the mat and helped Lauren get out of a major jam. Lauren, my goodness, still in hot water over pulling the gun on Daisy. They meet with the DA. The DA is not flexible whatsoever and hostile toward Michael, mostly probably because he's always been the Newman lawyer. And Michael decides that maybe bringing Avery in is a better solution because the DA likes her, and Avery just comes in and just brings it. She just brings it and ends up negotiating Lauren some really, really easy off the hook. Like she got, community service, she got something else. She's not even going to do any jail time for whipping out her gun in public. Totally off the hook for that. Of course. So but I was glad to see that there was that moment of forgiveness between Lauren and Avery, because it was Avery who brought Daisy into town. Avery's trying very hard to make up for that. So I'm glad that Avery had that redeeming moment, and I'm glad that to see Lauren off the hook for now. I don't know how long it'll last, but I'm also glad to see Lauren and Michael getting along for now. Also, it seems that the tension in their relationship has been a little bit alleviated this week, and I was also glad to see that Phyllis and Michael were able to alleviate their tension a little bit this week. So for this brief little tiny moment, I think mostly everybody has kissed and made up. As someone so aptly pointed out to me last week, Kyle is like Billy Jr. He really, really is. It's almost as if Billy has passed the torch. He has decided to stop being the playboy, and now he's given that torch to Kyle. There was even this funny little moment between Billy and Kyle this week where Kyle is being his usual slick self and Billy is standing there with his diaper bag around his arm, and Kyle's like, where can I get one of those purses? Just razzing him a little bit, and it's a nice little scene. I kind of like that, but at the same time, Kyle he's not very mature. Let's put it that way. He's not very mature. He is interested in the ladies, which there's nothing wrong with, but he's got it on turbo drive. He's been flirting with Eden, which I think is kind of cool. They started talking, started flirting a little bit, and finally Kyle snuck Eden, please, it was like a couple of hours, but Kyle snuck Eden out to the Newman Ranch to his little bedroom, and they were making out on his bed, and it was cute because they were sneaking around trying to dodge the maid, and I almost wish Victor would have caught him. That would have been a whole lot funnier, but it was a fun little scene, and I thought, oh good, finally we're gonna see something real from Eden. She's just been doing nothing but hanging out at the coffee house, taking orders, commenting on other people's situations, but she hasn't really had any kind of situation of her own. She's been pathetically wanting Daniel, and I don't feel any chemistry between her and Daniel. I could, but they haven't really built it up. Daniel's clearly not interested in her, so it's just, she hasn't really had a place, and part of me thought, oh, well, good, we can actually get to see something from her, and just when I was enjoying it, Kyle blows the whole thing with his big ego. He has to talk about how he's, right in front of her, about how he's not ready for any kind of relationship, and he he flirts with other girls right in front of her. It's so rude, and Eden realized it. Eden, if she is 21, 22, 23, but she seems 26, 27. She's more mature than he is. So she tells him, you know what? I've been in a situation recently where it was a friends with benefits thing, and I got more attached, and I don't want to do that again, which is very wise. That's what she should be doing. She tells Kyle that she really can't continue to do this thing with him. She doesn't want to be casual. She's looking for something more, or as she put it, it's not necessarily that she's aiming for something more, but she at least is open to opportunities. She wants to love, please. She wants to love. And I think that she did exactly the right thing. Eden needs to just forget it with Kyle. They're cute, but I am not gonna root for it because he is just not in the same place as she is. Flirting with girls right in front of her. It's so rude. He blew her. They went to Jimmy's. They were talking. He blew her off to go hang out with 2 other girls. And he invites Eden. But it's just so obvious that Kyle is looking to have a harem of women. He's not really looking to be with any one single one. So he blows Eden off, a very intelligent person who he can have a very intelligent conversation with, to go hang out with these 2 other bimbos. I think he realized that what he had done, so he left the 2 other bimbos, goes back to Jimmy's, just in time to see Eden sucking face with Daniel. Well, you know what? He got exactly what he deserved. He's, I think, still in the process of learning these lessons, but if you really wanted Eden, you should have stayed with Eden instead of hopping off and having chocolate cake with 2 bimbos. Jack and Nikki keep coming back to the same conclusion, that they have to call off their relationship. They don't want to, but they seem to feel like they have to because of Kyle, which really ticks me off. I realize that Nikki killed his mother and that he has every right to feel the way he does. I just wish that it weren't some kind of insurmountable problem for Nikki and Jack's relationship, because they both deserve to be happy. It's been way too long since either one of them was in a stable, honest, loving relationship with history. That's, I think, the draw there, is that they have this history together. I don't necessarily feel some grand passion for Jack and Nikki, but I want them both to be happy, and I feel so sorry for them that just when they find something satisfying, that they have to let it go for a situation beyond their control. So it makes me sad. I don't know. It doesn't seem like, it seems they've called it off, but yet they haven't really. They've called the relationship off, but they still sort of see each other, because for 2 people who are supposed to be keeping their distance, they've seen each other at least twice this week. I think once Nikki went to Jack's house, and then once Nikki went to the hospital where Jack was having his physical therapy. And she's there rooting him on, which is really good. But honestly, I think it was more for selfish purposes. Nikki had just found out about Victor and Sharon, and she had to go to Jack to tell him. She needs him, he needs her. It is quite a shame. But, you know, whereas Nikki seems to have nothing else to focus on besides Victor, Jack at least has his recovery to focus on. And it's been kind of nice seeing Jack and Sarge round 2. It's not the same as it was before. It was just this really, truly drill sergeant relationship between them. Sarge was not at all lenient. He was very rude. Sarge seemed to resent Jack, and Jack seemed to resent that he was in this situation and was, I think, projecting that on Sarge. And this time around, they're really working together. It's nice. They're joking between one another. Sarge even had this moment where he opened up to Jack just a little bit and said, you know, I have a life too. I have personal problems. I know what it's like. I kind of like Sarge. I think I could warm up to Sarge. We need to give him a woman. He needs the female touch. And someone suggested last week Sophia. And I wonder, I don't know if he and Sophia would necessarily have a whole lot in common. I kind of see Sophia more with an executive type. And a Sarge would make more sense with Harmony, but I love Neil and Harmony together, so I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. I wish they'd do something with Sarge, but I just don't know what. Whereas Jack, things might be looking up for Jack very, very soon. After a very intense physical therapy session, Jack has this moment where he wheels away from where he's at, and he starts having this sensation, I guess. Just the camera is on him, and he's like, he has this just moment and starts calling out, "Sarge! Sarge!" Which I can only assume means that he might have just gotten feeling back in his legs. That's what my assumption is. I don't know. Something's happening with Jack. Not exactly sure what until next week, but I have a strange suspicion that there might be a miracle afoot. Look, we all know that the Sharon and Victor thing is about revenge and about rebellion. Sharon said so herself this week. After the big kiss that she planted on Victor, she gave this big speech about how she's tired of caring what other people think about her, and that she's just gonna do whatever she wants. She'll kiss whoever she wants. She'll be with whoever she wants. So she said it so herself. Her love and affection for Victor has nothing to do with love or desire, and we all know that Victor's interest in Sharon has nothing to do with her. I think Victor cares for Sharon, loves Sharon, but he doesn't feel the passion for Sharon. There's no passion there. It's quite clear that from both of their perspectives, it's about maybe revenge is the wrong word. Maybe it's more just about convenience. So Victor and Sharon are kind of together, and now that all of that has been said, I'm sure you're all going to be very surprised with me. Given the fact, passionless, convenience, but given all that, I've come to a decision. I have decided to just go with the flow. I've decided that I'm going to support Sharon and Victor. I know, you're shocked, I'm shocked. But I've reached this point where I don't have the energy to fight for Victor and Nikki anymore. I just don't. Sharon and Adam, I'd like it to happen. I want it back. But again, it's a situation where I almost don't have the energy to fight for it. I just feel like, fine. If Adam wants to be with Chelsea, fine. If Victor wants to be with not Nikki, fine. Even though it was kind of Nikki that called it off the last time. Still, I had this moment when I was watching Victor and Sharon this week at the ranch where I thought, you know what? Sharon should be romanced. I like Sharon. And Sharon should be swept off her feet. Victor had set up this scenario at the ranch where they walked in. They were at work, like they were at the office. Victor made a phone call. They drive out to the ranch, and it's set up with candles in the main room and dinner and gifts. And like, dang, he just made that happen on the fly. And I miss that. I miss Victor's on-the-fly romantic evenings. I miss seeing him lavish attention and gifts upon his woman. Like, it's always been part of his character. That's always been there. He always has someone who he sweeps off their feet until the relationship eventually falls apart and he goes back to Nikki. But the sweeping off the feet is very nice. And I just realized this week that I missed that, and I enjoyed that. And if it's Victor and Sharon, even though I'm not into it, I'm just gonna go with it. I'm just gonna not resist it. I've just decided to stop struggling against the stream. I've stopped swimming upstream on this, and I'm just gonna go with it and let it be what it is. I mean, Victor, for crying out loud, this is what he does. Like, he had this gift sitting on the table. He didn't have time to go out and shop for Sharon. It was just a lady's scarf that he had. Like, I think Victor goes and buys gifts beforehand. He probably just bought it on one of his trips and decided, oh, I'll give this to some lady. I mean, who knows? Maybe it was a repurposed gift from Nikki. But he has spare ladies' gifts just hanging around. That's what I love about him. And Sharon just walks in and it's like, it was very overwhelming and very nice. And I guess in some level, I just think that would be really nice to be swept away. So I miss those moments. And I think so does Nikki. Nikki goes out to the ranch to see Victor and walks in on this scenario. Sees Victor romancing Sharon the way he used to romance her, and in a horribly humiliating moment. Nikki's, like, Sharon is off in the other room. She walks in, sees the candles, and Victor standing there, wrongly, assumes it's for her. And she starts saying, well, I don't know if you misunderstood me, Victor. I wasn't coming out here for that. Like, it was just so bad. And then from out of the back room, Sharon walks in and she realizes, oh, this wasn't about me. Victor's romancing Sharon. Oh, I felt really, really bad. Really, really bad for Nikki. But she left, and it kind of put the cold water on Victor and Sharon's moment. She leaves, and the next day, Victor calls her back out to the ranch to kind of talk about what had happened. He was sorry that Nikki threw cold water on their evening, and Sharon, after having a night to sleep on it, comes back to Victor and changes her mind. All of a sudden she says, no, I don't think we should be together. After this big speech about not caring what other people think, Sharon comes back and now has changed her mind. And she's just been wishy-washy on it all week. She's like, yes, no. I truly think she kissed him that night, that first time at the office, and then got swept along to the ranch. Then Nikki came in, Sharon comes to her senses, goes home, sleeps on it, wakes up in the morning and thinks, what did I just do? What am I doing, for crying out loud? Then goes back to the ranch and tells him no, blames it on Nikki, blames it on that was too awkward, tries to give him his scarf back and all this and blah, blah, blah. And then he just keeps sweeping her back up into it. It's as soon as she sees Adam and Chelsea hang out at the club, then she's right back in and she lets Victor sweep her away. It's so obvious. It's so clear from both of their perspectives. And there was also a scene where Nick confronts Victor about it. I mean, everybody is annoyed at Victor and Sharon's relationship. Adam doesn't like it either. It makes him want to drink. Nick doesn't like it, but he's also not going to get involved. Nikki is like gritting her teeth. But anyway, first, Nick goes to see Victor just to kind of tell him that, hey, I'm not going to get involved in any of this. And it's a scene where Victor is at the old punching bag, which is some of my favorite scenes. See, again, this is such a good week. It has all of the elements that I love. Victor's punching the punching bags. Wah, 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 wah. And it was right after Nick had said something about Nikki, that you obviously don't care how how Mom feels about this, and right after that it was wah 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 wah, you know. So obviously, obviously that got to him. So you can see separately Sharon's motives, and you can see separately Victor's motives. It's so clear. And meanwhile, everyone around watching this is just trying to gag. You know, Adam, I feel bad for. Nikki, oh man, Nikki and Sharon had this run-in. I do enjoy a good Nikki and Sharon run-in at the athletic club. And Nikki just starts laying into Sharon right away. And she says, you know, you wanted my lifestyle from the moment you walked onto the ranch. I remember when you were just a young girl, you saw everything that I had, and you had stars in your eyes, and you wanted to take it. And you got it with Nicholas, then you got it with Adam, and now you're going for the main guy. And she just laid into Sharon, just, you know, which I have to say, I remember when Sharon first came onto the show, and I never thought that she was a money grubber. Nikki always did. Nikki just didn't like her because she didn't feel that she was good enough for Nicholas. Nikki probably imagined Nick with some kind of debutante, and Sharon was just this scrapper. She had this child out of wedlock, and she was from poor means, and she had this crippled mother, and she was just not to the standards that Nikki felt her son should be marrying into. So I think it was always Nikki who had the chip on her shoulder. I never got the impression that Sharon was like, I want to be this. I genuinely think that Sharon loved Nicholas. And I genuinely think that all of the other stuff was just a perk. And yeah, she was wide-eyed about it. Yeah, of course you would be. But I don't think that was ever her motives. And so I don't agree with what Nikki said. But Sharon has come a long way since being that wide-eyed girl. She is a fighter. She just snapped right back at Nikki and said, why would I even want your lifestyle? You started on a pole and ended up in a bottle. You used to take your clothes off for men for money, and then you just became a drunk. And it really, really stung Nikki. And Nikki deserved it. She started it, and be like, what did she expect? You know, I mean, you can't just give it to somebody and expect not to get it back. So Sharon got a really, really good jab in. I was pretty proud of her. And you know, then there's Adam. He is so sexy and so smug, and I just really like him so much, but he's hanging out with Chelsea, and I'm trying to let myself be into it, but I'm not excited about it. I mean, that's true. It's again a situation where, okay, I'll tolerate it. But I just can't get excited about it. There was last week where Victor offered Chelsea $10 million to just leave town and just go and just be done with it. No more hanging around Victoria, no more hanging around Adam, just get out. And damn, I was kind of hoping that she would just take the money and run. And I know there's some Adam and Chelsea fans out there, but I just don't care about her. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, I'll tolerate her, but I just don't care about her. And I was really, truly hoping that she would take her $10 million and go. And surprisingly, she ended up doing the right thing. She ended up realizing that by taking that money, by taking that bribe, then that's saying something bad about her, that she that she doesn't want to be the kind of person who would just, it's all about the money and doesn't care about the consequences and doesn't care about the morals. So I was surprised that she did the right thing. And I don't know, maybe more surprisingly, I was surprised that Adam tucked her into it. Tucker, you ass! I am so mad at Tucker this week. I cannot believe that he slept with Harmony in his bed that he shares with Ashley. That is the ultimate slap in the face. And I'm taking this so seriously for Ashley. I'm taking it personally. I was devastated at the beginning of the week as all this was going down. I could not believe it. Tucker got all drunk, bemoaning his situation with Ashley. Ashley left him because he lied or didn't disclose his relationship with Genevieve. Tucker runs into Harmony all drunk and sloppy, and Harmony had been having a bad time of it herself, and they just kind of came together, crashed together, started kissing, and then made their way into the bedroom. Well, what they weren't counting on was the fact that Ashley got back early from New York, decides that she misses her husband, goes back to the apartment, swings open the door, and sees Tucker and Harmony naked together in her bed. I am so mad. Seeing Ashley's face had to be like the most sobering moment for Tucker too. Like, he's all drunk and out of it, and I think just that moment where he looks up and sees her face, and she just, as Harmony described it, had this look of as if someone just died. It wasn't even disappointment or anger. It was just, I was just like death. Just like, you know, this love that they had was just now gone, just like drained out of her. And I would have had such a different reaction. I would kill him. I would kill him. I want to kill him. I'm so mad. Maybe Tucker could have been defended before. I spent some time last week defending Tucker, being like, well, okay, maybe he shouldn't have told Ashley. Maybe it's okay that he didn't tell Ashley. That's all fine and good, but I can't defend him anymore. This is it. He blew it. This was wrong. Stephen Nichols looked pretty good without a shirt, though. We don't really see him shirtless very much. He's pretty ripped for, you know, for his age. He looks pretty good. I liked it. Him and his little necklace. I think he's cute. I like Tucker. I like Tucker and Ashley, which is why I'm really especially ticked off about this. And I want to spend a few minutes here just talking about Harmony in this situation, because Tucker may have been drunk, but Harmony was sober. Oh, Harmony. Oh, gosh. After another run-in with Neil, another sad run-in with Neil, where she realizes that she can't have him, she basically realizes that she couldn't have one married man, so she goes and gets another. She knew he was married, and I mean, I don't know. I'm disappointed in her for this, you know? But, you know, I am going to defend her on the one hand, because Harmony should have said no, but Tucker is responsible for keeping his own vows. It's not Harmony's responsibility to make sure that Tucker stays true to his wife. I am still disappointed in her, though. I think that she was just feeling lonely, and she just threw herself into that situation, had one momentary lapse in judgment. I think she wanted to be held. I think she wanted to be paid attention to. I think she wanted to feel close with somebody, and then she just slept with him. She just did him. And I want to get your opinion about this, because we were so hard on Sharon last week for what she did. And it's not a whole lot different from what Harmony did. Sharon felt all lonely, realizing that Nick is moving on, that Adam is moving on, so she just threw herself into Victor's arms. And I ask you, how is that any different from what Harmony just did? So it really kind of, if you forgive one, you have to forgive the other. If you're mad at one, you have to be mad at the other. It's not too much different. So again, like I said, I'm trying to forgive Sharon. I understand it. I'm going to try to forgive Harmony. I'm going to try to understand it. I just think that she is going to be in a really bad scenario, because after she did this, sees Ashley, like, realizes that she just ruined another life. Harmony feels like someone who is a life ruiner. She just goes out, screws up her child's lives, her children's lives, you know, Neil's life. She feels that she's coming in between Neil and his wife. She goes to AA, now this, and she's wrecked. And of course, Catherine and Nikki also happen to be at the AA meeting. And Harmony confesses everything, says that she slept with another man, that she had, it wasn't a drug that she did, it wasn't a substance that she did, but she did something that had damaging effects. And she confesses what she has just done anonymously, doesn't say who the person was, but does reveal that he was a married man. And later, after the meeting, back at home, Catherine confronts her and says, "Did you sleep with Neil?" And Harmony's like, "No, I didn't sleep with Neil." And Catherine says, "Well, but you said you slept with an old flame." Harmony revealed that it was someone she knew from the past. And Catherine has no choice but to then deduct that if it wasn't Neil, it was her son. Oh my gosh. I would be mad if I was Catherine too. Catherine straight up just told her, "You know what? You need to leave." Catherine kicks her out. I would have done the same thing, though. I really would have. Catherine has done so much for Harmony. She's given her a place to live. She's helped her, you know, renew herself. And this is how Harmony behaves, by sleeping with Catherine's son and breaking up their marriage. I mean, not like it wasn't her fault that the marriage is going to break up. But Harmony, dang, she just... It was 2 lapses of judgment, you know? 2 lapses of judgment contributed to this scenario. But still, dang, I probably would have done the same thing. if I was Catherine. I don't know what Harmony's gonna do now. I don't know if she's gonna go get another apartment. If it weren't for Devon's probably the only thing keeping her in town. Because otherwise she has absolutely nothing. Everybody's gonna be mad at her. Everybody's mad at Tucker. Ashley is devastated. Abby wanted to rip him to shreds. Tucker makes his rounds around town trying to find Ashley, and he goes to Abby's house, and Abby's like, I knew this about you all along. I knew you were a scumbag, and she just like shreds him up. He goes to Jack's house looking for Ashley and ends up revealing exactly what happened. Jack was so ticked off. Jack, I think, wanted to headbutt him. He wanted to like take his wheelchair and just like ram him into the crotch or whatever. Because Jack's like, if I wasn't in this wheelchair, I would. I think Jack just wanted to like roll him over with this wheelchair. But it's not good. Everybody's mad at Tucker. Ashley, most of all. Ashley is devastated, and so am I. And I am devastated for about 100 different reasons right now. Yes, I'm mad about the Ashley and Tucker thing, but I've got some bad news for you guys. If you don't already know this, maybe you won't care, but I care. Eileen Davidson has been let go. She is no longer going to be on the show as Ashley. I am beside myself. When I read that, I was so mad. I cannot believe it. She was let go. She didn't quit. She was let go. And if this freaking better be a part of a larger storyline, which it doesn't sound like it is. I mean, maybe she'll be back in the future. I hope that she's back. This better be part of like some kind of strategy to let her go and then bring her back later, because if they're just letting her go, I'm really mad about that. I like Eileen Davidson. I like Ashley. I didn't always. Back in the day before she left the first time and went to Days, I did not like her. I was not a fan, but she has come back. She is perfection. I love her hair. I love her makeup. I love her wardrobe. I love who she is. She is strong but sensitive. And I'm so disappointed. I can think of so many other people who do nothing for me on the show that I would rather see go than her. Ashley is a part of Y&R's core history. She is right there in the center of it. She is an Abbott. And to just let her go, why? I would like to know why. When you're hiring on all of these other people who do nothing, why? You can just skip Sorazing, growing up, Summer and Fen. Who cares? Who cares? From the look of the casting, it looks like Summer and Fen are going to come back to be younger. Much younger than like Kyle. It seems like they're maybe going to be in the 15, 16, 17 area. I don't care about 15, 16, 17-year-olds. I care about real women, real people. I care about Ashley. And I'll tell you something else. I would rather see, here's a list of people I would rather see go besides Ashley. Number one, Genevieve. Okay? I like Jeannie Francis, but she's not that integral. She's not integral to the storylines. She's fine, but if you're like, I almost kind of feel like that's the thing. She probably commands a big salary. Get rid of her. Yeah, she's Y&R soap royalty, or correction. She is soap royalty. I'm not trying to take anything away from Jeannie Francis, but she's GH soap royalty. Okay? Eileen Davidson is Y&R. She always has been. Yeah, she was on Days for a while, whatever. She's Y&R. I would rather not have Genevieve. I would rather not have Sophia. I like Sophia, but what the hell is she doing right now anyway? She's not even that interesting to me. I'm telling you, I know this is going to tick some people off. Kevin and Chloe can just get in a ship and just sail right away. For all I care at this point. I would so much rather keep Eileen Davidson. And I'm Kevin, Chloe, it's fine. I like Chloe. I especially like Chloe. But I would pick Eileen Davidson. And Kevin just does nothing for me, sorry. Eden, what's she been doing? There's a salary you can cut right there. I mean, if things are going to pan out for her with either Kyle or Daniel, whatever, that'd be great. But I don't really care. Kyle, I could have done without that. We had him. It was called Billy. You know, we've seen this kind of character just recently, so, is it that big of a deal? Again, telling you, I could do without the aging of Summer and Fen. Avery, I like Avery. I really like Avery, but what's she even doing? Like, besides, like, the Daniel stuff. And, you know, I could do without Daniel. I haven't really felt a whole lot for Daniel in a long time. I could do without him. And I'll even throw in this. I like Daisy. I like the actress who does Daisy. I would be disappointed if Daisy left the show, but I would give away 3 Daisies for Eileen Davidson. I'm very upset, as you can tell. You gotta leave me a comment on this, you guys. This is breaking news, and I need to know how you feel about it. Just excuse me, I need a moment. After witnessing yet another longingful, I don't even know if that's a word, another meeting between Harmony and Neil that was so clearly filled with longing, Sophia decided that she is just gonna straight up confront her man. So, out in public at the coffee house, she asks Neil if he has feelings for Harmony. And Neil is caught between his desire to be honest with her and his knowledge that this will hurt her. And it did. It really, really did. I'd have to be heartless to not feel bad for Sophia, because she acted like she wanted to know, but she did not want to know. Oh, it was so bad. Neil confessed everything that, you know, he said that he had feelings for her, but that nothing had happened, well, except for a kiss. There was that. And you know, it's doubly worse because it would be one thing if he had, for instance, just slept with Harmony, but it's quite another that he admitted he has feelings for her. Feelings, live feelings, whereas he doesn't have feelings of passion, anyway, for Sophia. And Neil said, we married because of Moses, and we had an understanding about that, and we wanted to provide the best home we possibly could for our son, but we never had a passionate relationship. And Sophia, in response, said to him, but I do. I love you. I was hoping that things would work out with us and that we could be a real family with real love. And, oh, that just crushed me. It did. It hurt because Neil, like a dummy, comes back and says, oh, I didn't realize. Really, Neil? You didn't realize that she was in love with you? You couldn't pick up on that vibe at all? You didn't pick up on the vibe that she was really trying to be your wife in every way, including sleeping with you? You didn't think that she loved you? That's how tunnel vision he must have been on Harmony and everything else in his life, to not realize that his wife wanted him. So boy, I sure understand Neil's position about wanting to be with Harmony, and I want him to be with Harmony, but at the same time, he really dropped the ball on that one, and he ended up hurting Sophia. So I don't know what's going to happen with their relationship now. I don't know if they're going to be able to go back to being the way they were. Like Sophia said, I never would have ended my relationship with Malcolm if I hadn't had feelings for you. She had a good thing going with Malcolm. So she always loved him. Of course, I always thought Neil always loved her. It's only been since the pregnancy that Neil seemed to pull away. He seemed to be very interested in her. But, I don't know, when push came to shove, it just doesn't seem like he was into her. Before Harmony came into the picture, it didn't seem like he was into her. So, I don't know where they're gonna go now. It's so weird also because it's become this family issue. Lily doesn't know yet about what has happened, but Devon walked in as Sophia was walking out on Neil, and Neil had to tell Devon the truth. He said that he had feelings for someone else, and Devon was pretty understanding about it. He really didn't seem to want to know all of the details, but Neil felt like he had to tell him that not only is this the situation, but the other woman is your mother. So Devon seemed quite shocked by this information. I don't know what he's gonna do with it either. I can't tell if Devon is going to support Neil in this decision, or if he's going to encourage them to stay away from each other, becoming the newest wedge. I personally can almost see Devon really laying into Harmony for coming in between this marriage. I think that Devon is going to be quite a bit harder on Harmony than he is on Neil, but I don't know, we'll just have to see. It is always a good week in daytime when we get a good cat fight in. Jill and Genevieve have been going at each other pretty steady since the moment Genevieve walked in to Genoa City. They just ate each other, even though they're not fighting about Colin anymore. Now they're fighting about Kane or Ethan. Pick your name. Take your pick. So Jill wants Genevieve to stay as far away from Kane as she possibly can. Genevieve is a negative influence on Kane, Jill feels, and so Jill is pretty much treating Genevieve like a second-class citizen. Doesn't like the fact that Kane is reaching out to Genevieve, but still, Kane and Lily have both decided that Kane should reach out to Genevieve, and they are kind of becoming more, they're becoming more of a family. Kane had an opportunity to turn Genevieve in, or to at least go digging around for ways to screw her over, and time again, a couple of times lately, he's decided not to do that. Genevieve's she's in the hot seat with the SEC, and Kane, I think, doesn't want to go out of his way too much to help her, but he's certainly not going to do anything to hurt her either. And Jill really doesn't accept that. So the two women come together and have this feud moment where Jill tells Genevieve to stay away, and Genevieve says, "Hey, you have no room to talk whatsoever. Billy barely had wanted anything to do with you." So that hit Jill in just the right spot. That, like, how she raised her only son is a really sore spot for her. And as soon as Genevieve poked it, Jill just hauled off and smacked Genevieve right in the face, which I totally enjoyed. It felt good because I've been wanting to smack Genevieve for a couple weeks now, and that really helped me exercise that anger. But hey, for you Genevieve fans out there, Jill definitely got hers back in return. The two women just ended up, like, they're in the park during this argument, and there's a barrel of dirt. This is where they've been planting flowers, and I think it was Jill who threw the first dirt. Jill just takes a big old handful of dirt and smacks it right onto Genevieve's pure white jacket, and Genevieve has to come back and start throwing dirt at Jill, and the two women just get in this awesome dirt fight, which is such a good note, a good classic soap note to send Jess Walton off on. You can tell she's going around and saying goodbye to everyone. She's, the storyline wise, going to Australia to be with Philip for a little while, but we know in reality I think she's taking some time off of the show because her son is about to give birth, or recently did, possibly. She's going to be a grandma, and so she wants to go off to some other state too. I can't remember which state, but she wants to go off and be with her family for a little while. And so I just think that this last little cat fight with Genevieve was such a nice note to end on. She will certainly be missed. And I mean, Jill, she's so classic. I wonder how many of those fights she's actually done. There's always something funny, or whether it's the cake, or I remember one time Catherine shattered a vase over Jill's head. There have been so many good ones, so it was a good way to end. And Billy and Kane had to come in from the sidelines and pry Genevieve and Jill off of each other. It was just such a beautiful moment. I fully enjoyed it. It was It was just such a good classic moment. And there was also this sideline story about Chloe and Delia. Chloe had dropped Delia off with Billy to watch her for a little while, but she was in this beautiful, perfect little white and pink party dress, and Chloe was going to take her to this party, and she was a little hesitant to leave Billy with Delia because she's just looking all perfect and didn't want her to spill anything all over herself. But Chloe decided, okay, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna let Billy watch her for a little while. What could happen? And there's this even little false moment where Billy almost spills some coffee on Delia's dress but doesn't, and Chloe's gritting her teeth in the background, and then as Kane and Billy show up to break up the fight between Jill and Genevieve, Delia gets all up in it. She says, I'm gonna be like Grandma, and she starts smashing dirt all over her party dress. It was comedy, pure comedy. Chloe comes in and says, hi. Chloe anticipated this moment. She knows who she's dealing with. So she says, good thing I have an extra dress in the trunk. But Chloe's face when she saw that was really funny. So she whisks the kid away, and it's just Kane and Billy left to deal with Genevieve and Jill, and they decide to part company on a really good note. And I think that pretty much what we're looking at now is Jill out of the picture and Genevieve continuing to dig holes for herself. She picks up a phone call this week, and who's on the other end? Colin. And he's sitting in a lawn chair out in the sun, relaxing and enjoying himself. Colin is free! He is free now because of Genevieve. In the conversation, he thanked her and let her know that she was the one that helped get him out. So my theory is that Genevieve, her back was up against the wall with the SEC. She knows she made a huge mistake, and she goes to the one person, the only person who's ever really in her life, I think, the originator of the dastardly deeds, and she asks him for help, and in order to do that, she's got to get him out of prison. So he may very well be able to help get her out of the hot water, but I just cringe to think of what new fresh hell Colin will be unleashing upon her and everyone else in Genoa City. Oh, just wait until Kane finds out that Colin being out of jail is Genevieve's doing. That's gonna blow any progress that mother and son have made along the way. Okay, well that is gonna do it for me for this week. It was a good one. I mean, it truly was. You can tell May sweeps are here because it's sweeping all over the place. And I cannot wait to get your comments. So please, please, use the text box below to leave me your message. Let me know what you're thinking. Short, long, whatever. Just type it down. Get it down. I cannot wait to hear what you guys are all thinking about the developments this week. There's so many on the show and casting, and you know I get emotional about it, but I do. I take it very personally. And I know that you do too. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. Other than that, my goodness. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and have a good week. I'll look forward to seeing you guys next week. Okay. I love you guys. Mwah! Bye!